City Church is a church plant, and that terminology may be new to many of you, but what that means is we're just a startup church of 6 years. So by God's grace, we've survived, but it is part of the lifeblood of who we are. And so we have participated in a number of church plants already in our short history, but we haven't participated to this degree yet, and I just could not be more thrilled at what we're getting ready to do. So Ayo has been doing a pastoral residency with us, covering a lot of bases, probably a lot more than you ever imagined, and I know you've enjoyed his exceptional preaching. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But a main focus, a primary focus of his pastoral residency has been to prepare to plant another church, to launch a church, and we get to be a big part of that. So Ayo, tell us a little bit, first of all, why church planting, and then a little bit about this church, which, spoiler alert, it's called the West Church, but you got to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Thank you for that wonderful intro. So, the short answer is, Amechi and I, over a period of time since the Lord leading us and calling us to plant a church, it wasn't really an aha moment. It was something that kind of evolved over time. Really over 2+ years. A lot of conversations, a lot of prayer, a lot of counsel from friends, pastors. Leo was obviously a big part of that. And we, over time, just sensed that the Lord was leading us to start a new church, basically a new expression of the gospel in a community that my wife knew very well because she's from the A-Leaf community. And part of our reasoning for wanting to start the West Church there was we wanted to start a church that embodied the community. For example, the name of the church is the West Church. When I moved to Houston in 2008, all of my friends that I met at the University of Houston, if they were from Houston and I asked them, hey, where are you from? They would respond by saying, I'm from the West. Now, I was from Fort Worth, so I have no idea what the West means. And that was their short way of saying, I'm from A-Leaf. And so when we were thinking about, well, what do we call the church? Mechi came up to me one day, she said, let's call it the West Church, so that the people in the community know this is a church for you. And so our community is mostly, African-American, African, and Hispanic. And so we wanted to have an expression of the gospel there that looked, sounded, and felt like the people who lived in that community.
That's awesome. Tell us how we can pray for you, how we can be a support and encouragement to you and Amechi.
Yeah.
And the launch date for the church is January 9th.
Lord willing, January 9th. And there's really 3 ways you can be praying for us. One, we're praying for financial partners as we are seeking to fulfill our mission in the community. We're looking for financial partners to join us. And then 2, if you would be praying that as a church, we would embody our values, the things that we say we want to be about, that we would actually be about that. Often, some of you heard me say, don't talk about it, be about it. And we want to be a church that actually bees about it. That's bad grammar, but you understand what I'm saying. And then 3rd, it sounds kind of weird, but if you could pray that the Lord's hand would be upon us. Our team right now, we're going through Nehemiah. At the end of Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 8, he says that he got favor from the king because the good hand of the Lord was upon him. And we want it to be said of the West Church and our community that it is obvious to everybody in A-Leaf that the good hand of the Lord is upon us. So those 3 things, if you could pray for us, man, we would be eternally grateful.
Absolutely. And you mentioned financial support. City Church is financially supporting, it has already and is going to continue to financially support the West Church. But absolutely, individually, I encourage you to give thoughtful prayer to that. And just to be praying for Ayo and Amechi. And I have seen a lot of church planters over the years, and I have to say, this is the cream of the crop here, and it is a great privilege for us as a church to get to be able to do this.